Hello and welcome, everyone. Good to see all of you again. You know what time it is. It's time for our next product training webinar on the MagHealy. For those who have also been with us the last time, they already knew that today we have the same setup in terms of speaker and host as last week. And if you are also aware of the remaining training schedule, and no worries if you are not, I'm here to refresh your memory, then you will also know that the week after this week, Martina Kling, our Global Marketing Director, will join us again as the host. And the guest speaker next week will be no one else than Shamnam Halper. So already mark this in your calendar. Make sure to not miss out this training as well. My name is Mark Sacher. I'm Healy World's Global Marketing Product Manager. I'm your host for today, and it is my true pleasure to be with you. And it is also my pleasure to again announce that our Chief Product Officer, Martin Wittmann, is with us to talk about the last remaining MagHealy application that we haven't covered so far. This means it's time to talk about the water application. So stay tuned and make sure that you stay with us till the very end. Martin, I'm delighted to hand over to you now.
Thank you, Mark. Yeah. So as Mark already said, it's about water, and I will start the presentation immediately because we are going into detail immediately. So what is this about? Of course, it's about understanding and using MagHealy. And of course, to use a device like MagHealy properly, you also need to understand what the background is. And in this case, it's the effect of magnetic fields on water. So what do actually magnetic fields, or how do they influence water? So what is actually behind this concept? So, and there I think this is the most important slide of this whole presentation. And this is the explanation of hydrogen bonds. So basically, you know water is made of H2O, so two hydrogen molecule or atoms and one oxygen atom. And as you see here on the graphics, one is positive and one is negative. So the H is positive, the O is negative, which means they basically through the water structure, basically, or through the water, what do you call it, the form that water, or this liquid form, basically, they can easily form hydrogen bonds. What does that mean? That means that those molecules are not equally distributed throughout the water, or form like you have like in crystal structures or something like that. No, they are very loose there and can basically be attracted to each other and form a cluster. So those clusters can be of, let's say, very high complexity and very big clusters. And those cluster forming, or this cluster forming, basically depends ultimately on the influences that the water has. So depending if you have a magnetic field, if you have an electric field, whatever field you basically apply to the water, those hydrogen bonds adapt. They change. They form clusters, big clusters, small clusters, or the clusters are basically destroyed. For example, if you add infrared energy or some kind of energy, the molecules are, let's say, more loose, and then they basically lose all their hydrogen bonds, or they are loosened up or changed or broken down to smaller, basically, clusters. And I think this is the most important thing you have to understand about water, that those hydrogen bonds make water a very, very, very sophisticated, how do you call it, information, so it's possible to save information there, so to store information in those clusters. And this, of course, we also use when we have, MagHealy. So here you see such a cluster. So basically those hydrogen bonds enable such clusters in a quite complex form. I mean, they don't need to be round. They can also be in all other kinds of shapes. And and here we just mention a few things or a few effects on water. So measured effects. So these are really effects that you can measure. So you decrease the surface tension. So if you apply a magnetic field, the surface tension is less. So there are most likely less of those hydrogen bonds there. You increase the viscosity at room temperature, and you change the rotational movement of water molecules, also used for magnetic resonance tomography. I also had this in the last training. So as you all know, you have MRI, so magnetic resonance imaging. And this is based on the effect that those water molecules, basically, if you apply a really, really strong force, like a few Tesla, then those, they change, basically, they tilt. And if you basically get rid of this force, then they basically go back into their original position, or basically change their position again. And this is basically then recorded before and after, and then you basically get your imaging out of this. So that's also an effect that we are using in imaging or in medical imaging that molecules have, and basically magnetic fields have on water molecules. And there are, of course, also assumed effects like reducing the intermolecular energy of water, increase an activation energy, so which means that they have more energy. You have more energy in the water, basically, and a change in hydrogen bonding and increase in mean size of water clusters. So that's now a very important point, because before you have the decrease of surface tension, which basically would indicate that those clusters basically decrease maybe. But here you have the assumed effect that you have a hydrogen bonding and increase in mean size of water clusters. So basically, what does that mean? That new clusters form based on the magnetic field. And that's quite interesting, because such an effect was used by Jacques Benveniste, who did some very, very, very interesting experiments with water with Luc Montagnier also. And what they did was that they used water, put in DNA strands, and then they basically let those DNA strands transmit or imprint their information on water. So you basically have the DNA strands, which have a very complex, or not so very complex, but a complex information cluster, basically. And this information cluster was then imprinted in the water. And then they transmitted with a low frequency electromagnetic field, basically, this information to an empty glass of water, or an empty, as you can see in the middle. And then they used a normal PCR method to basically replicate this information, and then they had the DNA strands again, so they reformed. So what does that mean? Very simple. You can basically put a quite complex information onto water. It saves the information, even if the initial transmitter is not there anymore. In our case, it would be MagHealy. You have a water program, you transmit the frequencies, and the frequencies are stored in the water. You take away the frequencies, but the information is still there for some time, of course, not forever, because, of course, other influences change the water constantly. And then you can use this information and basically do something with it. In our case, we drink the water and use the frequency information to basically inform our system, to inform our bioenergetic field, to basically get an harmonization effect, or whatever effect we are basically longing for, depending on the program, of course. And this is an effect that's very, very, very useful, and very unique in water also, because water is a different kind of material that we will see later. Okay, what do we also have? Of course, the water application is to inform your drinking water with QAF, so quantum analyzed frequencies. So those are quite complex programs which contain some frequencies and contain, of course, quantum analyzed frequencies. And of course, we understand that water is the material form of the information field. So basically, all the information you have there, you have also, or you can store in your water, and it's basically consisting of those dipoles that we already had. And all the information on which life actually is based. As we all know, we have a lots of water on our planet, and basically life was created or was originated in water. So actually, that's where all our life basically began in some way. That's what we also used in the study. So we basically said, okay, let's see how it actually works. And then we basically made a study group with 162 participants, and they used the fitness, the energy, and the cell harmony program. So one in the morning, one in the afternoon, one in the evening. Of course, fitness is like, okay, when you stand up, you basically get ready for the day. So all the sleep needs to vanish. So that's why we use the fitness program. Then in the afternoon, you all know, you worked a lot or you did a lot, and then the energy is a little low. Then you use the energy program. And then, of course, in the evening, the cell harmony, because you know through the night, all the regeneration of the cells is happening. All the basically excretory organs are working high performance, that you get all the things basically out of your system again that basically are not, or should not stay there. And the outcome was quite astonishing, because we had an increase in well-being of like almost 50%. So when you basically measure it, or how do you call it? If you put it in the effect size, Cohen's d, then it's a very large effect actually. And we also asked the people before and after, that's the decrease in concerns. We asked all the participants, okay, what issues do you have? So currently, whatever pain you have, whatever disbalance you have, imbalance you have, they wrote it down. And after the study, we asked them, okay, did this imbalance, what you basically wrote down in the beginning, did it improve? Did it change? And there we also had a very large improvement, and that was quite significant. So it's basically a decrease in concerns of like, I don't know, 34%. Yeah, and that's what I talked before about. So water is the cradle of life. So of course, but we are also consisting out of 60% basically in average of our body weight is basically water-based. So we are basically to a big part made out of water. So basically, if you drink water and whatever information is in this water, basically also informs the water in your body. So that's a very, let's say, common effect that's happening. And of course, water has 41 anomalies. I mean, I don't want to go into detail for those, because that would take a little longer. But at the end of the day, those anomalies are the reason why water is also so powerful. That, I mean, every one of you know, if you drink proper and good quality water, you feel more healthy, more vibrant in your life, and you need water, and you should drink, I know, about 1 cup of water at least every hour or something. So just as a base rule, to basically give your body the chance to also excrete all the things, all the basically food and other things you basically take into your body that actually need to go out again. And all the, how do you call it? The things that your body basically changes from A to B. You know, every cell has their own metabolism, and all the metabolism things that are happening, also create things that actually need to be excreted at the end of the day. So let's go. Yeah, exactly. The water application can, of course, energetically condition water. You should drink, of course, the water directly after the application. So you basically inform the water, drink it immediately afterwards. Or you can also treat a bottle of water and basically drink it throughout the day. So how should you do that? So in best case, you have the middle. So the middle of the downside of the MagHealy And this middle of the downside of the MagHealy should be as near as possible to the water. So you basically, because there in the middle, on the bottom of the MagHealy, there's the highest density or the highest intensity of the magnetic field. And you want this to be as near as possible to the water so that it can be informed properly. And here we have, last but not least, a small water guide. So for everyone that has already the MagHealy water application, so here you see how to use it, what is basically a good vitality booster. And that's, of course, always in the morning, the kidney harmony. So you know your kidneys worked all night. So let's get the rest of those excretory things on metabolism waste basically out of your body. So kidney harmony in the morning. And in noon, you have cell harmony or nutrition transport. So you know that your nutrients also need to be distributed well. And of course, cell harmony, that you have your cells that are working all day, that they work properly. And of course, in the evening, vagus harmony. Why vagus harmony? Because when you are calm and relaxed, you sleep much better. The better you sleep, the more healthy you are, the more regenerated you are, the deeper you usually also sleep. So if your mind basically gets calm, then you have a good sleep. And that's vagus harmony, basically, that you basically harmonize this vagus, that it actually gives you more relaxation, let's put it like that. And on the Saturdays and Sundays, we start with a little energy in the morning, because usually, you know, when you work the whole week on Saturdays and Sundays, you're like, oh God, I need a break. So a little energy cannot hurt. And of course, noon and evening, we do nothing, because you always should give your body also a break of whatever application you do. You should not do sports every day. You should not eat lots of things every day. So give your body 1 day of rest, that you do less of those things, or maybe also skip them for 1 day. So I think that's a very good base rule that you always should consider. And I think that's about it. So wish you the best of luck to your way to holistic health. That was our MagHealy water training. All those trainings, as I said last time, will be in the academy. I mean, the scientific basis from the beginning are already there. And the other parts will be finished, most of them this week. So I'm confident that the next 1, 2, or latest 3 weeks, we can bring them online, so you can also watch them in a new course in the academy. We also basically brought a few courses online today. So we have now the Heal Advisor Analyze course online, also a MagHealy course online, and we will also put a few other courses online. So looking forward to this one. Back to Mark.
All right. Thanks a lot, Martin, for this refreshing insights on the MagHealy water application. So before we close this call, I just wanted to point out once more that next week there is, for now, the last scheduled session of our MagHealy webinar training. So again, with Martina Kling and Shamnam Halper. So please make sure that you don't miss this out. And Martin, if you do not have to add anything else, maybe you want to have a look at the chat, or we see. If not, then we are done for today, and I wish everyone a good time. So up to you, Martin.
Yeah, maybe one question I saw. So how much should you drink? I mean, it's not about the quantity. So I drink lots of water that's informed, and then it has a much bigger effect. No, it's about the quality. So you inform it properly, and you drink it very consciously, and then you have the effect. And usually 1 glass of water is enough. It should basically also fit to your drinking schedule. So excessive drinking is not good, but constantly drinking throughout the day is very, very healthy and very positive. Also, one thing is with the expert area. So the expert area is just in the MagHealy Professional. For the Classic, we will introduce most likely an expert area that you can also basically subscribe to. But that will come the next weeks or months. I don't know what the exact schedule on this one is. So, but I think that's about it. So thank you and have a very nice evening.
All right. Thanks to everyone. Have a nice one. Stay tuned. Stay safe.
Bye bye.
Bye.